Peace and blessings. What's going on, everybody? Greetings, peace and blessings. I hope everybody's doing well. Shalom to everybody. Hope you all are doing well and doing fine. Just want to get in here and just look at some things, do a lesson, man, on today. It's been a minute since I've really got on and just done a lesson. Just kind of really been taking a little break. Got a lot of things going on with ministry and family, just trying to balance everything. But I want to go into do a Bible study lesson on today. Y'all know me. I try not to get into too many things like just historically. I try to deal with some things and other things I just, let alone. I'm beyond trying to prove anything to anybody when it comes down to who I am. So I just kind of just basically deal with things from the perspective of salvation. We all should be resolved in who we are. There's nothing wrong with history, nothing wrong with any of that heritage. But salvation is the ultimate and final goal. Because that is just the icing on the cake. It's not the cake itself. And so, but today I want to get into something. Many of you know that this past weekend I was in Peru. I am back here in the States. And so it was awesome. Had a great time. A lot of things going on. Just got a chance to see a lot of things. It's interesting how there's a lot of history that you can't get out of a book when you go to other countries and things of that nature. They have some of the unfiltered truth about a lot of things that I think that many of us who are here, unfortunately, can't go to a lot of countries and a lot of places. It's a lot of shalom to you, Brother Eric, and all of the brothers and sisters on here who are tuned in. I love all of y'all with the love of Christ, and I pray that the Father is with you all. Grace to you, many of you, may His blessing shine upon you as well. So it's interesting. I'm just blessed to be able to, have the opportunity to look at a lot of things and go within an open heart, open mind, very subjective, or very objective, shall I say, to a lot of things. And so when I go, I'm going to a place I'm going to learn some things. And I went just to check out the history. The day we were there, I was going to just kind of see the city, just, learn some things, but I didn't go with the mindset of, hey, let me go try to figure out what I can uncover. It just kind of happens to go in that route, in that rotation, the way the Father did it. We just got an opportunity to go to the museum to really see some things, and we had a great tour guide and our brother Alder, a brother who believes in Christ, and so got a chance to chop it up with him. He took us on a guide for, I think it was maybe about 7-8 hours. We were on a tour learning the history of Peru. Some of y'all saw we were down in the square in the city itself. I was down near the Parliament and places like that. So got a chance to see that. And then we went to the museum, which is where a lot of things shocked me. I'm going to be putting together the little mini movie of a lot of footage that I got of the city and conversations about some things historically about a lot of the slaves who were brought there, how Peru was established and things of that nature. And so many of you, I got an opportunity to see one of the pictures that I took and put up, and it was very interesting to look and see how the people of Peru which in that area we talk about the Incas, but the Incas isn't the first people that inhabited the land of what we know as Peru. The Incas was the actual last people, and come to found out a lot of the different peoples in the land, and how many of the Mexicans that we know today are related and descendants of what we call those who are Peruvians, who are there, and so it was a lot of interesting things that I learned and how they migrated. We're talking before Christ, how they migrated from the area of what we know as Mizraim or Egypt and the area of Goshen. Many of them resided in the area of Goshen, which we know that a lot of the Israelites were in that area. Does the family in Peru understand that there is like, I am back, actually, Brother Rodney, I'm back in the States. I went to Peru. I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and left this morning, and got back here in the States. I didn't get a chance to get into a lot of conversation on that level. We did have some conversation about that, but it wasn't like to the level that I wanted to, because it was a lot of things going on. Time was a factor as well. So we did have the conversation, and there was a conversation that went well. Some things that I showed in the video, the little mini movie that we actually talked about, there was some things that Alder brought out that I didn't know about the African slaves, or what many call the continent of Africa, or Israelites that were brought to that. There's a community there that they still keep the customs and the traditions in that, and that's something that I wanted to go to that area, but for the sake of time, we didn't have the time. I wanted to go to see the people who were there, but I was going to I'm going to post. There was a conversation that we had when we were down in the city square about one of the people who freed, one of the Spaniards at the time who freed the community of Israelites that were down there, who actually were brought in to help build the city of Peru. And we talked about how the mixing, that's the thing, the conversation that went on. We talked about how many of them had mixed. There were many of the Peruvians had mixed. And we started talking about all the way from the time that the establishment of, or the migration from what we know as Northeast Africa to Peru before Christ. So, which we already know, those who study historically, you should know that everybody that was an Israelite did not actually go to the promised land per se. Some of the brothers and sisters migrated into the west coast of Africa way before 70 AD. So it wasn't like everybody, all the Israelites just left Egypt and they came and they journeyed to the promised land and dwelt there and established Jerusalem, what we know today. No, there was some people, the same way you had Lot and you had Abram, all right, or Abraham and Lot, where you see how he went off on his own. He ended up going and dealing in the land of Sodom and Gomorrah, and he didn't, even though they had to split because they had so much stuff financially, and cattle and things of that nature. So you have people who don't understand the fact that there were Israelites that went into other areas, and everybody didn't just leave and go with Moses, them and go to the promised land or in the wilderness and die off. Some people went to the west coast of Africa. Other people went to other parts of areas of Northeast Africa. Some even sailed after later years. But when we start talking about coming out of the Exodus, we have to also look at the fact that Israel were mixing with other nations before they even got to the promised land. When the time that they came out of Egypt, Israel started mixing. Okay, now this was even before what we know as the book of Numbers. We're going to get into this here in a minute, because we have to really understand and look at some things historically and understand. And many argue the point of the Father talks about don't mix with other nations. It was a reason why he said that when it came down to dealing with certain nations, of why not to mix with them. There were other times where even the Father told Israel when they went in and went into battle, went into battle. Hey, Shalom, what's going on, Brother Azza? What's going on with you? When they went into battle, there would be women there, and the Father would say, hey, listen, okay, kill everybody else, kill the firstborn, kill the male children, and all the other women, take the women for yourselves, marry them. But those women also had to convert over to the ways of the covenant of Israel. Okay, so we see all the way even with Solomon, things of that nature. He had many, many wives of other nations. A lot of people misunderstand that. A lot of that was also to save some of the women. Okay, when we start talking about different ways of maybe someone is in battle or something of that nature, in order for them to come into the house, they just couldn't come into the house. And it's just, that's a whole nother lesson I'll get into. But I want to kind of stick here. I don't want to go too far off. Okay. Yeah, definitely, Ozzy. We're definitely going to do that. We're going to do that. But dealing with other things, the understanding, I want y'all to understand, shalom to all my sisters that are tuning in, all the sisters. We have to understand that even before, on the journey to the wilderness, Israel had begun to start mixing, all right? Even with those who were of Canaan or of those who were of Ham. So we start looking at traditions and customs and things of that nature. Traditions and customs isn't the only identifier of someone who is of another nation. It's one identifying marker. But also, too, you have those who of Israel, just like Israel came out of Egypt and they were making they made the golden calf. Okay, that is a pagan practice, but they were Israelites. So we couldn't look at and base the totality of them being a heathen nation, because those who are of Ham are identified as heathens. Okay, those of Japhet is identified as Gentiles. Okay, so just because we see someone that is having pagan practices, bloodline wise, they could still be an Israelite, but also, all right, they can turn around and keep customs of the heathen. All right, and so the Father wanted to separate those practices because why? Because Israel was not a strong enough nation spiritually, because faith was weak. The point was Israel had weak faith. They knew the Torah, they knew all of that, but they had a faith problem. Okay, henceforth the same reason we see today. A lot of Israel have a faith problem. They know the Torah, they know all these things, but they have a faith problem. And so this was something that was always plaguing Israel from the time out of Egypt. All right, even from the time that Moshe, even asked, say, listen, who should I say when I tell them that, when I tell them that the God of your fathers have sent me, who should I say sent me? So there was even an issue with that. We see Jeremiah. I'm not going to them people face. The Father said, need not be afraid of their faces. He had a faith problem. All right. He had a faith problem because he didn't trust the Most High to the point to where he was more afraid of men's faces and what they would think, what they would say. So let's get into this here. I want to look at Leviticus chapter number 24. We're going to start there, and then I'm going to get into some historical things so we can deal with the understanding of the Incas, okay? All right? We want to deal with the Incas, all right, and look at it. again, when we start talking about Peru, we have to understand that the Incas wasn't the first ones to establish the civilization. There were other nations before them that also dwelt in those lands. The Incas were descendants, or the Incas came out of the land of what we know as Mizraim and migrated there to what we know today as Peru. At the time, it wasn't identified the name as Peru. In fact, all right, they dwelt in the land of Cuscos, okay, Cuscos, which is a place which was the original capital of Peru. It was Cuscos, not what we know today as Lima. Okay, Lima later on became the capital, not the original capital. It was Cuscos, which it's a whole nother understanding when we start talking about dwelling in the land of what we know today as, or the country as Peru. All right. So we begin to look at that and see, but let's get into this and deal with this here real quick. Leviticus chapter number 24 and 10. I want to first establish to show you how it's very important that we understand the reason why it's important to understand that regardless of the complexion of an individual, it's going to boil down to how you're living according to the instructions given. Because of the fact, okay, again, that's not downplaying and saying that people of color or the melanin in your skin has no relevance to it, but you can't get caught up in that because of the mixing that has taken place over time. A lot of black people are Edomites, okay? How do you identify? Is because you look at a person's actions and the spirit that is on them, and that's going to also allow you to identify what type of person you're dealing with. Not just so much, okay, as them being an Edomite because of the complexion of the skin. This is why you're going to get deceived. Or this is why so many will be deceived because of that. Even though when you start looking at brothers in the land of Peru today, you have them brothers who are there, and Alder was telling me about this. The people of Peru, you have many of those who are there who at first they were melanated people, but the Spaniards came. Once the Spaniards came and forced, okay, here's the thing, I want y'all to listen to what I'm saying. The Spaniards came during the time of the Incas, okay? The Spaniards came during the time of the Incas. When the Spaniards came, the Spaniards forced them. First, the Incas fought. But the Spaniards, okay, had weapons and different things of that nature, and they also had other nations that was helping them with the Incas, dealing with fighting them on the terrain that they were on. When the Spaniards came, the things that the Spaniards brought with them, all right, they brought with them Catholicism. I want y'all to listen to what I'm telling you. The Spaniards brought with them Catholicism. This is in the museum. The Spaniards didn't bring with them, and it's crazy because we talk about this all the time, the difference between Christianity and Catholicism. The Spaniards brought Catholicism with them. Not only did they bring Catholicism with them, but they also brought the European image with them, okay? That wasn't the first thing that was presented, okay? The Incas were warriors. They fought against the Spaniards, but they couldn't overcome the Spaniards. The first thing the Spaniards did was the Spaniards used the image and used Catholicism as a form of politics. It had nothing to do with religion. Let me say it again for y'all. Y'all didn't hear me. All right. And I'm going to get with Alder, and I'm going to have Alder come on here on my live to give y'all more in-depth history of this. The Spaniards brought with them, when they brought the Bible, when they brought the European image of Christ, when they brought all of those things with them, It was never to convert them to a religion. It was used as a form of politics. It was used as a form of politics. It was not used in the manner in which we discuss it on today, in the day and time in which we live. It was used as a form of politics. It wasn't so much, it didn't mean nothing to them to that level. It was used as an image. It's no different, like, let me see. It's no different than a gang member, than a gang. When you look at gangs, gangs have images and symbols that they spray paint on the walls to identify or mark their territory and show that this gang runs this area. It had nothing to do with religion. It had everything, because to them, it wasn't even about the religion. They had weapons, they had guns, they had all of these things to bring you under subjection and to rule you. They didn't need religion to do that. They were already a powerful enough army. They were already powerful enough with the weapons. They knew they had stronger weapons than you. They had bigger armies than you. They didn't need to use religion to get you under subjection. We got to stop this YouTube stuff. When you go into the museum, when you talk to someone who knows the history about certain things, especially when we start dealing with the Roman Catholic Church, it was an image. It's the same thing when you start looking at the vision that Constantine had. When you study the vision that Constantine had, that vision was a symbol to him. It had nothing to do with religion. Constantine, all he wanted to do was make sure that his empire was the greatest empire, and made sure that he partnered with the council to calm down the tension within his empire. He saw the symbol. He used this symbol as no different than a gang member. It's politics. This is to show you this is my territory. This is to show you that this is my territory. The Greeks, what do you think that they do when they go into a territory, and when they conquer an area? Anytime Rome or the Greeks conquered their areas, what did they do? They went in and they started setting up images to mark their territory. This don't have nothing to do with religion. This is politics. This to show you this is my territory. This is the symbol that we're using to identify that this is our stuff. Hey, blessings to you as well, big bro Joseph Howard. So we start looking at this to really get a complete picture. The Romans did everything. They did the same thing everywhere they went to conquer. So it's like when people say, oh, well, you know, they use the Bible to control you. For what? Why do they need to use the Bible to control you when they already got you enslaved? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. They don't need to use, this is their marking their territory. They chose to decide to use this as their symbol to mark their territory. Because why? Because the symbol of Christ on the cross shows to them that's a symbol of victory. And that has nothing to do with salvation. So we're going to take this image and use this to our advantage and use this as our symbol to mark our territory. So when they came with Catholicism from a political position. So once they conquered and ruled the area of Peru, the Roman government, okay, or the Romans, or the Spaniards, shall I say, they took control of the lands. They told the Incas, the first thing they did, they mixed with them. They forced the language on them of Latin and what we know is many forms of Spanish. They have different forms of Spanish. So you can't use one particular Spanish level understanding of Spanish that you would speak in or the different slangs. You can't use a certain slang that you would speak to a person that's from Mexico or Argentina, all right, and whatnot. Yes, I do believe in the resurrection. You can't use that particular slang in Peru because it's different levels of understanding when it start dealing with the language, okay? So when we start looking at this, really get an understanding of really what's going on. Let's get back to the point of mixing, because this is what took place and this is what actually happened. It happened everywhere. Everywhere the Romans went, everywhere the Greeks went, they did. In fact, the Romans got a lot of this form of the way they do things from the Greeks. Because when the Greeks went into Mizraim or into Egypt, the first thing they did, they even started changing things. They started changing things. They start putting up different images of their gods as marking their territory. For us, it was about the customs that we kept. Nothing has anything to do with politics with us. It became political once the Pharisees got in place and you start seeing a lot of the things that they were doing. They start functioning and moving things politically, okay? Infusing the politics in with the religion, okay? But let's get into this. Let's look at this. I want to go to Leviticus chapter number 24. I want to start there, and then we're going to go into some history about the Incas and stuff like that. I had some books and things that I've been kind of reading, but I didn't go into until after this weekend. I'm like, man, I gotta go back and read a lot of this stuff. But let's look at this. We're gonna go to Leviticus chapter number 24. And I want to show you that Israel was mixing before they even gotten to the wilderness and whatnot. Okay. I want to show you that Israel started mixing. And therefore, we have to understand what we're dealing with and the magnitude of it. This is why we have to look at the fruit of people and we have to identify who they are. This is why the Father said, if a stranger keeps and accepts the covenant and keeps the Passover or be circumcised and all of these different things that I told you to do, then they should be looked at as one that is homegrown, regardless of their complexion, regardless of their color, regardless of any of that. Okay, because the final factor of decision is going to boil down to how they're living. Okay, it's going to boil down to how they're living. So the Father been dealing with that, all right, early, so we can get an understanding that because Israel was disobedient in mixing with some of the other nations, because of the other nations, it wasn't just because he told them not to mix because they was from another nation. It was a reason why he told them not to do that with those specific nations, okay? Let's look at it here. Leviticus chapter number 24, and we're going to deal with verse number 10, all right? And the son of the Israelite woman, and the son of the Israelite woman, and the son of the Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian. This is Leviticus chapter 24, okay? This is Leviticus chapter 24, that I want to show you that Israel was mixing with Hamites way before. Way before. Israel was always mixing with Ham. This is Leviticus. This is Leviticus. So we have to understand that if we really gonna say we really about this, y'all, we better make sure. We better make sure we know what we're talking about. If we want to sit up here and talk about who can get in the kingdom, who can't get in the kingdom, we better make sure we know what we're talking about. All right? Let's make sure we know what we're talking about. Let's make sure the one who's saying that person can't get in the kingdom is really not one who's really a non-Israelite. trying to tell somebody else who might be an Israelite that they can't get in. And then you're going to fall into you didn't love your brothers yourself. A lot of folk going to get cut. Boy, there's going to be a lot of big surprises. All right. So let's look at this and let's deal with it. It says right here, it says, the son of an Israelite woman whose father was an Egyptian went out among the children of Israel. Why ain't nobody telling this woman that she need to divorce this Egyptian? Why ain't nobody telling this Egyptian he can't be hanging out in the community? He can't be a part of Israel. Why nobody telling him that? Why ain't nobody telling him, bro, you're not an Israelite. You're not a Hebrew Israelite, brother. Why nobody's treating him like a Gentile? But we have brothers and sisters who many deem as Gentiles, who are amongst the Hebrew Israelite community, and y'all treat them different. Yeah, no, I know. No, I don't. No, we don't. No. Yes, you do. I see how you interact with them. You don't have to say it. I see how you interact with them. Which lets me know that's in your heart that you treat them different. You don't see them telling it. You don't see them saying in this. You don't see them saying, hey, brother, you an Egyptian. He know he an Egyptian. He know he came out of Egypt. But guess what? He cleaved to Israel. When he left Egypt, he said, I'm going with that God they serve right there. I'm going with that God. All them 300 gods that's in Egypt, y'all can have them 300 gods. This particular God right here, and that has a mighty hand that moves, their God is going to be my God. But you don't see nobody in the camp mistreating this Egyptian brother. Because in order for him to even dwell in the camp, he had to accept the covenant too. He ain't keeping 300 gods dwelling in the camp. That's why that woman married him. That's why that woman had a son by him. And guess what? Somebody had to perform the ceremony. You think they just having sex and then talking about they married? No. Somebody at the time had to perform the ceremony. Somebody had to perform the ceremony. They got babies. He dwelling in the camp. Look at what he chilling with Israel. Ain't nobody treating him any different. Nobody. Ain't nobody treating him any different. Look what it says here. It says, whose father was an Egyptian and went out among the children. Whose father was an Egyptian and went out among. Not Israel walking up front, not Israel walking in front and he walking in the back, or Israel or Israel sitting at the table and he got to wait till everybody else eat before he eat. No. The father ain't rocking like that. Y'all do that, but y'all calm yourself. Let me tell you something. The father says that if one of another nation accept the covenant, he is to and lives the way you live, following my instruction, you are to treat him as one that is homegrown. Why y'all still calling y'all brother who has accepted the covenant and living as you are living, as the father said live, why you still identify, that's my Gentile brother? Because you really ain't fully accepted him. You still slapping a label on him of separation as though the father didn't tell you that you ought to treat him as one that is homegrown. Meaning that He's no longer your Gentile brother. He is your brother. But y'all still say, y'all still, my Gentile brother who attached to Israel. My Gentile brother who attached to Israel. Because it's in your heart that you haven't totally accepted them. That's why that's why you talk like that. That's why you talk like that. While folks majoring in all these minor things, it's some major things that you ain't keeping. A lot of folk gonna get cut on simple stuff like that. Because the Father gonna show it ain't in your heart. It was never in your heart. It was never in your heart. Look at what it says right here. It says right here in verse number 11, it says, and the Israelite woman's son blasphemed the name of the Most High, or blasphemed the name of Elohim, or the name of the Lord, and cursed. And they brought him unto Moses, or Moshe. And his mother's name was Shulamith, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan. You got a woman of Dan who's an Israelite, and you got an Egyptian. We talking about a natural blood Egyptian from Ham. In the camp, they together got a son. He dwelling amongst the Israelites. Ain't nobody in Israel tripping on him. None of that stuff. Ain't nobody tell her to divorce him and put him away. He got to leave the camp. No. Now look what his son does. The son rebels and breaks the commandments or go against the Torah. So look what happened in verse number 12. And they put him inward, that the mind of the Lord might be shewed them. Look what it says. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, how did he speak to him? Was Moses reading a book? This is what I want to know. Did Moshe open up a book and it said to Moses, I'm saying what thus said the Lord, I'm a prophet, and I'm saying, no, that ain't what he did. The Most High spoke into his being concerning this situation. Maybe that's the problem. We have limited the Most High's voice to a book. I'm not downplaying the Bible. The Bible is the true and living word of Yah. But I know that the book he's not confined to the book, to the pages. He's not confined to the pages. There's things he speaks to you that is not contrary to this that ain't written in here. Show me a book that Jeremiah had. Show me a book that Moses had. Show me a book that Noah had. Wait, what about Adam? Show me a book. What book did Adam have? Can somebody please show me a book? See, the problem is the Most High ain't speaking to a lot of people. They partner is. Your partner is the voice in your life. Your partner or your partners voice is more loud and more effective than the Most High's. And he ain't competing with nobody else's voice. He's not competing with voices. He's not going to compete with voices. That's why you can't hear properly. That's why you jump on everything that your partner say or everything that you perceive, and then you turn around and say, you listen to your partners and you turn around and add the Most High name on it. Yeah, this is what the Most High said when it's really your partner. And then when it don't work out right, you blame the devil. And the devil like, they don't even have enough value for me to use. Why do I need to bother them? Why do I need to try to use them? They have no value for me. If I'm going to use somebody, I'm not going out like no chump. I'm going to use somebody that has enough impact. Not somebody that, what I need to use him for? What I need to use her for? She's no good for you, and she's no good for darkness. All because your partner then caused you to make a bad decision, and then you want to blame the devil because the devil has become an easy cop-out. Well, I tell you. Let's keep reading. Look what it says right here. It says that the Lord spake unto Moshe, saying, bring forth him that hath cursed without the camp. Bring forth the boy. Bring forth the boy. That's right, Elder Mark James. Bring forth the boy without the community. Bring forth the child without the community. And let all that heard him, so all the folks who heard him, which is more than two witnesses, which is at least two witnesses, who heard him blaspheme and curse the name of the Lord, bring forth those that at least two witnesses that heard the boy, lay their hands upon his head, and after they lay their hands upon his head, then take him out to the community, because the people that testified against him, who heard him, laid hands on him, testified against him, their voice will be the witness against him. And then I want the community to participate in killing him, because I want the people to know that I'm no respecter of persons. I will kill a child just like I'll kill an adult. I will kill a Gentile just like I'll kill an Israelite. I'm the Lord. I don't play. No respect to persons. But y'all got respect to persons. Y'all got so much respect to persons, it don't make no sense, boy. There's a whole lot of folk gonna get put to death, boy. I'm telling you, respect the persons with your fringes on. You're gonna get put to death with your fringes on. Straight up. You're gonna die. You're gonna have your head wrap on, getting put to death because of respect the persons. Boy, I tell you, lay hands on them. I want the whole congregation to see this. If the Most High would kill a child, imagine the fear that is sent through the community. Don't try me. Don't play with me. I'm going to kill him in front of his parents. And make sure all the other children see it. Everybody in the community, all the kids. I want the donkeys out there. I want the cats, the dogs, the lizards, the grasshoppers, the frogs, the chickens, the turkey. I want it all out there. This gonna be a show. Just because y'all think y'all the ones who brought y'all out of Egypt. Y'all think that this y'all movement. So I'm gonna show you because you think that this your thing. You think this your awakening. You think this your movement. I'm gonna show you just how much you think that this what this is. I'm gonna show you that this ain't your show. So I'm gonna make sure this child, he's disobedient. Y'all grown folk tried. And guess what? It didn't matter. It didn't matter. The Most High killed the kid. It don't even matter. You're still hard-headed. You still think your hands have gotten you this wealth. You think your hands have one delivered you. And so you keep going into captivity over and over again. Let's keep rolling here, y'all. All right. Now let's go to Judges chapter number 3. All right. Judges chapter number 3. I'm running behind on time here. Judges chapter number 3. All right. Now let's look at this. We're going to look at some more mixing. Okay. Judges chapter number 3, verse number 1. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. So we already seeing right here. We already know that these folks that Israel about to fight are all Canaanites who descend from Ham. So we know these people, all these folks that Israel about to fight are Hamites. Why? Because they cousins, they always was fighting. They always was fighting and they always was mixing. Japhet or Japheth wasn't hanging out in the area where Israel and Ham, or the descendants of it, Israelites and the Hamites. You didn't find the Japhet hanging out with them like that. It was always Israel and it was Ham, always in the same territory, always fighting and always mixing. It was always fighting and it was always mixing. Living in the same territories, the same areas. So the Most High gonna send one against you whose language you don't know, who your fathers don't know. How in the world is it Esau? When Esau was dwelling in the same lands too, with the Hamites and with the Israelites. So if he's gonna send a nation from afar whose language you don't know, who neither you or your fathers know, the Egyptians, the Israelites, the Hamites, and Esau and his children, they was always hanging out and talking. They was always around each other kicking it. These folks, some people you don't even know. You don't even know their language. Y'all ain't never communicated with one another. So I don't know where y'all get this stuff from, buddy. Y'all, I'm telling you, man, your partner them gonna get you in trouble. Let's keep reading here. Look at what it says. All right. Verse number 2. Only that the generation of the children of Israel might know. Only the generation, meaning that generation there, okay, of the children of Israel might know to teach them war at the least, such as before knew nothing thereof. Now listen to this. Verse number 3. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the Sidonites and the Hivites that dwell in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Bel Hermon unto entering into Hamath. Let's keep reading. And they were to prove Israel by them. To prove Israel by them. Look what it says right here. To prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hivites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Hittites, and Jebusite. Why in the world are all these folks, everybody got Ike on their name? Israelites, Hivites, Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites. When the last time you saw Japhet have an Ite on his name? Why is that? Because Japhet's children are identified as Gentiles. Ham's children is not identified as Gentiles when you go look at Genesis chapter number 10. All these jokers that's related, that's cousins, that fighting and mixing and hanging out, they all got Ites on their name. Is that a coincidence? Is that a coincidence? We'll say that for a later teaching. But let's look what it says here. Verse number 6. All right. And they took their daughters to be their wives and gave their daughters to their sons and served their gods. Stop right there. The Most High left, okay, certain tribes in those lands to prove Israel to see if they were going to be obedient or not. Now, Israel, they don't even know the Most High. They still learning him. This is the reason why he said, look, you just not coming into this truth. You don't need to be studying all this other stuff. You don't even know me yet. You don't even know my voice yet. This is the problem. This is why so many people fall into the problem that they fall into. You come into this thing as babes and I know I'm an Israelite. The first thing you do, you want to study everything. You want to study everything. You want to buy every book. You want all this kind of stuff. You want to listen to a million teachers. All this stuff. You don't even know the Most High yet. You don't even know his character. But you want to study all this other stuff. I keep saying that. I can say, you know what? I can sit here and say this stuff till I'm blue in the face. And y'all still going to do it. And you're still going to find it. This is why I keep telling you. This is why I had to come to a point of telling brothers and sisters, do not tag me because I'm not responding to your post. You on there fighting with somebody, don't tag me because I'm not responding to your post because I know you a babe. You ain't put in the time. You ain't put in the time of prayer. You ain't put in the time of fasting. You ain't put in the time of studying. You ain't put in none of that. You don't know none of that. The first thing you want to do is go start a fight and tag somebody to come do. I'm not doing no. I done fought too many wars and battles for the person who started the fight to step back and I'm fighting and these persons here, they ain't saying nothing. I'm not doing it no more. I'm not doing it no more. Don't tag me in nothing because you don't have to get involved in this stuff. You don't have to prove that you know something or somebody else don't know it. It's going to come a time when it's your time. When it's your time to be sent, you have enough time to teach folks. But when it's your time to sit, go sit your behind down somewhere. You're not ready for this stuff. And then you start getting consumed. You don't know what to believe no more. You done heard 5 different people say 5 different things. You get caught up in all this stuff. And then you want to ask other people, what you think? Is this true? Is that what did you hear that from? The first thing I ask brothers and sisters, where did you hear that? Where you got that from? Because I know if you asking me, you got it from somewhere. And more than likely, you got it from YouTube or somebody teaching on Facebook. And then you want mores to come unclog your spiritual congestion. You want mores to unclog your spiritual constipated self. Because you've been eating from everybody and everything, and you don't even know what to believe. Now you want somebody to give you a spiritual enema to help you out of the situation because now you're in bondage. Nope. You put yourself in that situation. I'm not doing it no more. I'm not doing it. You put yourself in that situation? No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm telling you, man. Let's keep reading. Look what it says. And they took their daughters to be their wives and gave their daughters to be their sons and served their gods. Now let's jump down here. Look at this. Deuteronomy chapter number 7. Deuteronomy chapter number 7. Israel done just came out of Egypt. They still trying to learn. First of all, in Exodus chapter number 20, he tried to tell, they say, no, we don't want to. Moses, we want to talk to him. He talked to them. Them folk, they were so terrified and scared. No, Moses, we don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from him, his voice, lest we die. We want to talk to you. We want to talk to you. We don't want to hear him. But they begged Moses and said they don't want to hear Moses' voice no more. Then when the Most High started talking to him, they don't want to hear his voice no more. They rather hear Moses' voice. This is how we do. This is how Israel do. But look what it says here in Deuteronomy 7 and verse number 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughters shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me. This is the whole point, the reason why the Most High say don't do this. Because you just not learning who you are. Because you just not finding out that I'm your deliverer. You don't know my voice. And now you go and hanging out with other people who worshiping other gods. Okay? And this bringing me to my point when we start talking, when we're going to get into the Incas. Okay? And other nations that also are on the west coast of Africa. It's not so much that these are heathens. It's the fact that even if they are Israelites, they start mixing with other nations and adopted their customs. And they start worshiping. I have a picture that I took, okay, of an Inca on a vase, a clay pot, an Inca priest with Hebrew garbs on. I took a picture of it. He has Hebrew garbs on mixed with paganism as far as a bird on his head. But I was talking to Alder about this, about the garments. And they had the priest fringes on this particular, I call it a vase, but it's really not a vase. It's like a pottery. It's a form of pottery that they use to pour drinks in and stuff like that for the rituals or for the different rituals. It could have been animal sacrifice. It could have been worshiping of these particular deities and things like that. And I'm gonna I have the mini video up and ready to go here soon. Let me try to get through this, man, because I got an interview I'm going to be doing with one of our brothers from Israel at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to be doing it on Facebook Live. So I got to get ready to get off here so we can set it up to get the interview going. All right, but let's look at this right here. It says, for they will turn your sons and your daughters from me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. Okay. They created these images and they was down worshiping them. Okay. So let's keep reading here. Look, we almost done with this particular portion of it. Okay. Verse number 7, we're going to go back to Judges chapter 3, verse number 7. And the Lord and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and forgot the Lord their God and served Balaam or Balaam and the groves. Look what it says here. All right, we just read in Deuteronomy 7 where he said, don't mix with them because they're going to turn you from me because you're not strong enough to deal with their philosophy or deal with their gods or their rituals or their practices because you're still learning yourself. But look what it says here. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves. Now look at this. And when you go back to Judges chapter number 3, look what the children of Israel did. Judges chapter number 3 and verse number 7. It said the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and forgot the Lord their God, or Elohim or Elohim or Yah or Adonai, whichever one your translation says. It says, and served Balaam and the groves. Now the Most High said, tear down their statues and cut down their groves. He told them back in Deuteronomy, and they did the very opposite. That the Most High left these particular Hamitic tribes in the land to prove Israel, told them, do not mix with them because you don't know me, and you're not strong enough to deal with them and that spirit. And therefore, Israel did the very opposite. Okay, now let's keep reading. Look what it says. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them. Stop right there. Can I ask y'all a question? Who sold Israel? White man wasn't thinking about Israel. The Arabs wasn't thinking about Israel. The Greeks wasn't thinking about Israel. Who sold Israel? When are we going to have the kahunas and the balls enough to be mad at Yah for doing it? No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're not going to blame the Most High. It's easier to blame the white man. It's easier to blame the Arab. How many times have you read Deuteronomy 28? How many times have you read Deuteronomy 28? How many times have you read Deuteronomy 28? How many times have you read the prophecies and the Most High said, I did it? How many times have the Most High said, I did it? I told you I was going to do it in Deuteronomy 28:15 and 16. I told you that if you do not hearken to the commandments, I'm going to do this to you. Israel? Deuteronomy 28, he was talking to Israel. In Judges, he talking to Israel. Look what he said. We're going to read it again slow. He said, therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Chustarichathaim, the king of the Mesopotamians. That king wasn't thinking about y'all. None of these nations would think about y'all. You know, the Most High gave them your address and say, go get them. Go get them. Go get them. Them folk wasn't thinking about y'all. The Most High was hot and mad. He said, I'm going to use them to spank your butt. Every time that I told you in the covenant, every time I told you, every time I said, when you break and go against what I tell you to do, I'm going to send somebody against you. I'm going to kick your behind. I'm going to tear your butt up. But it's easy blaming the white man. They blame the white man, the Chinese man, the Arab man, and all the. It's easy to blame all of them. Don't nobody want to say, I'm mad at you, y'all. I'm mad at you. You don't have the balls to say it. You don't have the balls. You don't have the kahunas to say it. That you mad at God. An atheist will admit the reason why I don't believe in God because I'm mad at God because he killed my wife. Or he allowed my son to die. Y'all won't do that though. The atheist will. I don't believe in God no more because my mother died of cancer. And if that God was real, he would have saved my mother from dying. But y'all ain't gonna say that. The white man, the Arab man, the Chinese man, they all did it. And they gonna pay for doing it. You won't get back because you was wicked. You was wicked and still is wicked. And you want the Most High to punish them based off of how you being treated because it was your own fault for causing yourself to be in the situation you in, but you want him to judge them based off your unrighteousness. He ain't gonna judge them based off your unrighteousness. He gonna judge them based off his righteousness, and he gonna kill some of y'all based off his righteousness because of your unrighteousness. Let's keep reading. He was angry and hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Chusha-Rithathaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Chusha-Rithathaim 8 years. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, because we always crying when he tearing our butt up. Seems like that's the only time y'all want to do right and want to love your brother as yourself and do what he told you when he tearing your behind up. That's the only time. Seems like y'all want to listen and act right. But for some reason in this captivity, the more he whoop y'all behind, the worse y'all get. And then you think you righteous for being wicked. And you want to blame everybody else instead of crying out. Oh, no, I forgot. Ain't no crying out in Israel. I forgot. You can't cry out in Israel. Crying out in Israel is a sign of weakness. Forgot about that. That's Christianese. Crying out is Christianese in Israel. Look what it says. Verse number 9. When the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. Hold on. Let's get an understanding here. Do y'all know who Kenzanites are? Do y'all know who Kenaz is? Do y'all know who Caleb is? Wait a minute. The Most High didn't use an Edomite to deliver the children of Israel, did he? Come on, hold on. Let's go back and read this real quick. When the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz. Go do some research on Kenaz and his descendants, the Kenzanites, which Caleb comes from, which stems back to Esau. Oh, no. Come on. No. Did the Most High? No, couldn't have been an Edomite. Couldn't have been an Edomite. Wow. Well, boy, a lot of folk gonna get dealt with, boy. That narrow path is really narrow. It's really a narrow path. Let's keep reading verse number 10. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. Wait a minute. The Spirit of the Lord came upon an Edomite? No. It's got to be wrong. This has to be wrong. This has to be wrong, y'all. This can't be right. This has to be wrong. I know the Spirit. No, man. This is an error, right? King James got to go. We got to throw King James out. I mean, we really got to throw away every translation because we can go into another translation. It's going to say the same thing. It's going to say the same thing. This right here going to slay some doctrines, man. This going to kill some doctrines. Oh, my God. Oh, my. Come on. Let's look at it. Look at it. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, the Edomite, and delivered the Israelite. Oh, no. Stop. The Israelites cried out for a deliverer. And the Most High, he chose an Edom. His ways are not your ways. His thoughts are not your thoughts. You don't think like him. That's why when I look at people and how they act and I look at Christ, you don't even act like Christ. You don't even talk like Christ. And then you get mad at Hamashiach for using another nation more than he used you. Because you don't act right. You don't even act like him. You don't even talk like him. You don't act like him. You don't talk like him. The children of Israel wasn't acting like him. They wasn't doing nothing he said. And yet he go use somebody else as an Edomite. The Edomite, he put his spirit on him. And look what it says. And the Spirit came upon him. And he judged Israel and went out to war. And the Lord delivered Chusra-Rithathaim, the king of Mesopotamia, into his hands. The Lord ain't giving favor. Did the Lord give favor? I can't believe this. Can't be right. Let's keep reading it, y'all. Let's look at this. And his hand prevailed against Chusra-Rithathaim. So the Mesopotamian got took down by an Edomite and freed the children of Israel. That is a god dog, boy. All right, y'all. Let's get into the whole point of this is I wanted to show y'all how they were mixing between the Israelites as well as the Canaanites, the Hamites, all the time. There was always mixing going on. Okay, now I could go into I was going to go into the dictionary, but for the dictionary for the sake of time, but I'm not going to do it. Y'all already know these nations are Hamites. All right, that was dwelling in the land. All right, they was dwelling in the land. Now, let's deal with this. Let's look at something. Let's look at this. All right. I want to deal with some things. I want to go into some information here dealing with, I'm going to give you the book. This book is The Atlanteans, Subterraneans. This is page 169 dealing with, the Akans. All right. And we're going to deal with this, the Akans, the Peruvians, and the Bible. All right, so we dealt with some of this. All right, just say hypothetically, the Akans are Hamites or whatever. Okay, many of them still mixed with Israelites. All right, so therefore you could have had an Akan woman who mixed with an Israelite male, and then the male child is still an Israelite. Okay. You can have a a Israelite woman who mixed with an Akan and has a child, and they can bring that child under the covenant and follow the commandments, and the Father still views them, the Most High still views them, that child as an Israelite, okay? Because of the fact that of the covenant and because of the obedience, okay? So let's keep reading here. Let's look at this. I want to go into the Atlanteans, Subterraneans. This is page 169, and we're going to read here, right? Let's see. This name is kind of crazy here, but I'm going to read it. Madame or Madam Blavatskaya doesn't mention one curious fact about the mystic sun temple of old Cusco. All right. Remember, I was telling y'all historically, Cusco was the capital. All right. It was the capital before Lima. All right. It was the capital for Lima. All right. Let's see here. If Ham is heathen, why in Maccabees the heathens sought to paint the likeness of their images? Because you can be, when you don't keep the commandments, you are identified as a heathen. All right. An Israelite who don't keep the commandments can also be identified as a heathen. So anybody that is that is not keeping the commandments, all right, is identified as a heathen. But also in Genesis chapter number 10, you have Ham, you have Japhet or Japhet identified as a Gentile. All right. But then afterwards, you see Ham also is identified as a heathen. But when it comes to not living right and keeping Torah, anybody can be a heathen because of how they live. All right. So it's based on how you live when we start talking about in the context of dealing with understanding heathens or dealing with those who don't keep the commandments. All right. So let's hope that answers your question. All right. All right. Let's try to finish up here real quick. All right. So a fact found only in a very rare MS Chronicle of the Conquistadorian age. Listen to this. An article, all right, of the Conquistadorian age. All right. It enshrined a mystic white stone called by the Akans, all right, which seems to have combined the functions of an oracle with that of a crystal in which vision and pictures were seen. All right. In some ways, it recalls the mystic Urim and Thummim and the shining lights on the breastplate, all right, of the high priest of the old Jewish temple. Listen to this. I want y'all to hear this. All right. We're talking old Jewish temple. All right. We know that the third temple is about to be built. There was a second temple and there was the first temple. This is in reference to the first temple. Okay. So this particular stone or garment or breastplate in which they wore, those who were of the Akans in Cusco, which was in antiquity, that city was the capital before Lima became the capital. All right. So we're talking about the ancient times before we talk the war between the Spaniards and the Akans. All right. So let's keep reading here. Look what it says. All right. And the shining light on the breastplate of the high priest of the old Jewish temple, themselves probably derived by Moses from the ancient Egyptian breastplate of the goddess of truth. All right. Identical with the Greek goddess. Why is it saying identical with the Greek goddess? Because when the Greeks came into Egypt, they mimicked a lot of things that they saw in Egypt. Henceforth, the Romans copied a lot of things as well that the Greeks had copied from Egypt. All right. So that's why it's bringing that comparison. All right. The identical with the goddess Thames. All right. The monks in the train of Pizarro felt impelled to make an end of this mystic stone on which the rays of the rising sun also shone through a aperture. All right. They alleged it had done great damage to native converts to Catholic Christianity. Listen to what it says. Okay, I want y'all to listen. We're going to read it again. It says that reason why they destroyed this particular idol or image that was on that they used as an idol, it says they allege it had done great damage to native converts to Catholic Christianity. Okay? Espanados, Cantas, Entranes, I'm trying to say this right. Crueldades, que algunos perida la vida, meaning frightening them with such extreme cruelties that some lost their lives. All right. And so that's in chapter number 169 of the Atlanteans of Subterraneans, which showing the comparison between the ancient Incas that was in the capital of Cusco, all right, keeping the customs of the old temple, as well as having some of the garments and different things like that of the old temple, all right, in during the time of the Jewish old temple, roughly the first temple, which means that had to be something they had gotten pre-migration, because it relates it back to Moses, all right, during the time of Moses coming out of Egypt, all right. So many of them, again, you had those who mixed, all right, and you also had those who migrated off into what we know as the New World. Some of them went into the west coast of Africa, and others kept going into what we call Jerusalem today, or Northeast Africa. All right. So now let's look at this. Let's see here. Go to some more. All right. All right. As in Mexico, after various other ancient people have been considered, the Israelites of the 10 lost tribes seem the most plausible explanation, not only for the similarities of native, all right, of native legends, to biblical tales, but also to such customs among the Peruvian Indians as the offering of the first fruits, an expiation, feast at the end of September that corresponded to the nature and time of the Jewish Day of Atonement, and other biblical commandments such as the rite of circumcision, abstaining from the blood of animal meat, and the prohibition against the eating of fish without scales. This is talking about the Incas. Okay, I just read one part of the article, where it was one part of the book where it deals with and talks about, all right, it deals and talks about the garments and some of the traditions that they were keeping during the time of the first temple, the oldest temple, during the time when they came out, during that area. And I put the picture up there yesterday on my page when I was at the museum, showing you where they migrated from, in the same area of Goshen and that same area of Mizraim, or Egypt, or ancient Kemet. All right. Now, when we begin to look at this, it's talking about a lot of the customs that they kept, all right, before Christ. Okay. So this is what we're looking at here. And this is even talking about, even when you start talking about even many of them as far as Mexico. All right. Because I was telling you that many of the Incas are what would you call, quote unquote, Mexicans. All right. Or many call the Aztecs and stuff like that. Excuse me. Now, that's not getting into the 12 tribes chart. I don't believe in the 12 tribe chart. So this is not, I'm not saying that they from the Issachar and all that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just giving you, I'm just tying it in to show you correlation and relation, all right, to customs that they were keeping before Christ, after the time of the Exodus. All right. So this is all I'm showing y'all when it comes down to dealing with that. So again, don't think I'm sitting here talking about the 12 tribe chart and they this and they that and all this other stuff. All right. Because even when we start looking at Judah, that's a whole nother conversation. All right. We start dealing with that. And that's even based off of information and DNA and history and stuff like that. But I'm gonna get off here, man. I just want to show y'all, give y'all this quick lesson here, and I hope you guys were blessed. I hope you guys got some information, got some understanding, got some breakdown. Don't forget this coming Saturday, we have the We Rap the Gospel event. All right. Don't forget also to go on my page. We definitely looking for those if you can sow into what we're doing, the James 1-on-1 conference, so we can continue to make this conference a free conference and really be a blessing to all. I will have the GoFundMe link up soon. Also, don't forget this coming Friday. I'm going to try to get it done by Thursday, if not sooner. But we're going to be releasing the tickets. Last year, we had over 200 people last year, and all the tickets were gone. This year, we're going to be giving away 400 free tickets to James 1-on-1 Conference in Jacksonville, Florida. And I know all 400 of those are going to be gone ASAP. So definitely when I put the link up, make sure if you can get to Jacksonville, definitely press your way out. The conference itself is free. It don't cost you a dime, any of that. And so I'll be having the link up, the flyer up, and all that other stuff. Make sure if you missed it last year, you don't want to miss it. If you missed it the last 2 years, you definitely don't want to miss it. Awesome speakers, awesome fellowship. We also have baptisms on that Thursday. The date for the conference is the 8th and the 9th of June. Baptisms will also be on the 7th in Jacksonville, Florida. So just make sure you guys sign up, get your tickets, and all of that good stuff. And so it's going to be definitely a blessing. It's going to be huge this year. So I'm definitely excited about that. And I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. So I hope y'all really enjoyed the lesson. Hope it was a blessing to you. Some great history and things like that. And I can't wait to continue to, if Israel has been scattered to the four corners of the earth, then we might really need to reevaluate some things. There's going to be some people that's not going to look exactly like you. All right. So blessing to you all, man. Grace to you all, and shalom.